We will welcome Mr. Stéphane Cardin from the Canada Media Fund, which is the most important fund in the media and digital media activities in Canada, to have a presentation of the activities of the fund, of the program, but also all the impact of the digital media economy in Canada. So please, Stéphane.
Good afternoon, everybody. So over the lunch break, I've just been thinking after Jeffrey's presentation how I was going to lead in on this one, because I don't know that I can beat hit squads outside the Kremlin, thermonuclear meltdowns, and the birth of the iPod. So, you know, and all of the hockey angle has been used and overused since yesterday. I used it last night. And David from Innovio outed me out on my forgetting my smartphone in my car story. So, you know, I can't use that one either. The Canada Media Fund, what are we and why are we here is probably the question that you're asking yourselves. I'll give you the 30-second history. We've actually been around since 1995, formerly known as the Canadian Television Fund. You know, for those of you who live north of the border, understand that approximately 90% of Canada's population lives within 150 kilometers of the U.S. border. And, you know, we are north to the largest entertainment powerhouse on the globe. So the Canadian government, like many other countries for the past 50 years now, has been supporting the creation of its cultural industries. And the Canadian Television Fund was created in 1995, you know, to help a nascent Canadian television industry take it to the next level. But the focus historically has been on supporting content, and it has been less so on supporting cultural businesses. And, you know, in 2009, it was a decision made to sort of turn that on its head and to support more and more cultural businesses and to make sure that we started reflecting the consumption habits of the Canadian consumer, therefore supporting content on all platforms, whether that be television, video on demand platforms, the web, tablets, smartphones, etc. And so we've completely changed our focus and the way that we do business. What is most relevant here for today is that we actually have an overall program budget of roughly 360 million Canadian dollars annually. Most of that is directed towards the television sector. You know, when an average drama series can cost on approximately $1.5 to $2 million per hour, it does take up a fair chunk of our funding. But we did create a dedicated program in 2010 essentially to support content that is made strictly for digital platforms, and as well the enabling technologies that help to drive that content. So essentially this program, as it says here, encourage the development of interactive digital media content and software applications. We are a private non-for-profit. 70% of our funding comes from Canadian cable and satellite companies. 30% comes from the Canadian government. Our primary role in this space, our primary objective, is not commercial return. So that's probably something that is good for you to hear. I've heard a lot about the term non-dilutive here since I've been here for 2 days. I'll get back to that. Every industry has its jargon, so I'm learning yours. Our focus in this program is to support innovation. Essentially, it is to drive the entertainment sector forward, again, either through content that stands out, new narrative forms, new narrative structures. Either it's new technologies that help to drive the businesses, or it's new ways of doing businesses. That's what we're looking for. That's where our focus is. That said, we do not provide grants, so we are not entirely non-dilutive. We do hope to get a portion of back end that is fair, and we do that so that we can grow the fund over time. So since 2010, we've had 6 rounds of funding, two per annum. We've supported over we've provided, through those 6 rounds of funding so far, approximately $75 million to approximately 150 different projects. Of those, obviously some take longer to incubate than others. Of the 150 that we've supported so far, approximately 60% of them are currently on the market. It was a pleasant surprise to run into a few folks here that we've actually supported. So you saw the presentation earlier this morning from PPL Connect. You know, your virtual smartphone in the cloud is a project that we supported. And someone who was here yesterday with a company called Taste Filter, which is an intuitive music discovery application, was also supported by the Canada Media Fund. Where I think, and this is I think where we get more direct with where there may be an intersection with all of you in the investment community, is that we recognize that given that we are focusing on innovation and we're not focusing on commercial return per se as our primary objective, we can, you know, we want to support that risk. So when we're looking at projects that we're going to participate in financially, we can support up to 75% of the expenses, up to $1 million per project. And our average investment has been, you know, north of 500K. It's been between the 500K to $1 million range. So what we view is that, you know, in doing so, perhaps we can act a bit as an early stage investor and get to the projects and get the projects to the place where private investment, whether it be the angels or venture capital outfits, may want to pick up from where we left off. So that brings me to some of the language that you've been using. So I've learned that next time I present to you guys, I have to use the word exit, I have to use the word pivot, I have to use, you know, I have to find out what my conversion rate is. Actually, that's not relevant for me, but for the folks that we fund, and the issue of being non-dilutive. When we did start this off, we were asked, that was one of the first questions that we were asked. People were very happy to take our money, but wanted to know right away how they could get us out of the way when the right private sector partner comes along. So far we haven't pinned ourselves down to a formula, but we have had 2 exits. We're learning as we go. The second time that we did it, it was a 6-week process before the first call and the actual closing, so we try and be nimble and reflect the pace of the industry that we're there to serve. With respect to pivots, that's another question that has arisen because the way that we function is it's a selective program. We receive far more applications than projects that we support. We use a jury of business experts from Canada and internationally to support those projects. We've had people on that jury from the US, the UK, France, Portugal, Australia, and Brazil, and I might be forgetting a few, Germany as well. So people with recognized experience in diverse fields linked to digital media. Why do I bring that up? Because given that the focus is on innovation and the projects get ranked, if we're supporting something because you've made this proposal to us as how your project is going to be a game changer, and along the way you want to pivot and make it something that is completely different, more market driven, perhaps less innovative, then we'll need to have a conversation. But again, we try and be reasonable about these things. So images are worth 1,000 words. In these many conferences, we try and do things connecting live to the web, and there's never enough bandwidth. So I'd rather show you some videos, but we went the safe route and just a couple of examples of photos. So this is a game called Papo and Yo by a Montreal-based company called Minority Media. This game was ranked number 6 in Time Magazine's top 10 games of 2012. These guys are at the Game Developers Conference now in San Francisco. They're a top seller on PlayStation, and they've just announced a deal with Steam, that they're going to be rolling out in mid-April. So we support quite a lot of I failed to mention something very important. We only support Canadian-controlled companies. However, we're very interested in having, if possible, some U.S. Financing in those Canadian-controlled companies. As I said, we support independent Canadian game companies doing console games, casual games for smartphones, and so on. We as well support interactive web content, web series. One example here, Guidestones produced by Authentic out of Toronto, which is currently being nominated for an International Digital Emmy Awards that are going to be handed out at MIP TV in Cannes the second week of April. I was also talking about enabling technologies or software applications. This is one example here. It's not it doesn't give you much of an idea of the project and its capabilities, but it's a software second screen application by a Calgary company called Mobo Vivo. It was recognized by PricewaterhouseCoopers as one of Canada's top 10 tech companies to watch in 2013, and was nominated last year at MIP as one of the top 10 TV disruptors. They've just signed a very significant deal with Mark Cuban's Access TV. A fourth example here, just to give you a sense of and that's kind of hard to look at after lunch, actually, give you an idea of the breadth of what we do. This is a Montreal company called Moment Factory. You may know them. They are the ones who did all of the screens that were used at the Super Bowl halftime show, not this year with Beyonce, but last year with Madonna, if you remember that far back. That's the company that did all of that. They specialize in interactive installations in public spaces. And this is an interactive installation they did in Barcelona with the Gaudi's Sagrada Familia. So again, it would be much better if we had video, but just gives you a sense of the kind of projects that we support. If you want to have a better sense, see more examples, you can go to a website called Canada on Screen. It features now approximately 150 or so projects that we've supported in TV, web, apps, and so forth. We are going to be relaunching it very soon. And to close off, again, just want to reiterate, therefore, that for us, when we started out in 2010, the objective first and foremost was to get ourselves known by our potential client base. And that's what we concentrated on for the first 18 months or so. And that was mission accomplished. I think when you have a pool of funding, potential applicants have this way of finding it. And now what the focus has been changed, and it's on seeing how we can leverage that funding to the best effect by working in conjunction with the investment community. We're more than happy to talk to you about, the parameters of our investment. And also this year as a pilot program, we're going to be trying to work with 3 incubators across Canada, probably one in Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver, where we'll actually involve them in the selection process as well. And who knows, down the road now with the technology accelerators here in Boston, New York, and Silicon Valley, there might be some opportunities there as well. So I thank you very much for your attention. I'm going to leave you with just a bit of a, Martin talked about, I was going to give you a sense of the size of the industry in Canada. Here we do have a video. That video is something that we produced less than a year ago. And already, it's a sign of the industry that we work in. It is woefully outdated, and this is probably the last time that I'll use it. You'll see, for example, when it talks about the rate of penetration of tablets in Canada, the number's still in the 10-15 range. Now we're north of 25 already. So these numbers are constantly changing, but it'll give you a sense of the size of our industry. So again, thanks to Martin, thanks to Capital Innovation, thanks to all of you, and I hope we can do some business together. Thanks very much.